Welcome. My name is Kelly.
And my name is Nathan.
And this is Fanimated, an animation fan podcast where we get a chance to geek out about our favorite animated media. Nathan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right.
Doing all right. Thank you again for chatting with me about Attack on Titan. That was such a fun episode. It's one of my favorites now, and I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was great that we got to go into that story in such depth and really give it the time it needed. Sorry to all the listeners who weren't expecting a 2.5-hour podcast to come out this week, but there you go. Enjoy.
There you go. Listen to it in chunks if you need to. Or if you're like me, just listen to 3-hour-long podcasts all the time anyway. I have too much time at work to listen to things. But today, we'll keep it short.
Okay.
Because that's what Whatcha Watchins are about. Keeping it short. Or long, who knows?
Yeah, don't threaten me with how short this has to be.
No. We'll talk as long as we want to talk. And there's too much to say about all these shows that we're going to talk about. But first, it's September, which means it's our anniversary month for Fanimated, and it's great, and it's 2 years, and I cannot believe it's been 2 years already. So there's a lot of stuff going on. First, there's a new sticker available for Patreon supporters who are the $5 tier or up. So now's the time to be a Patreon supporter if you haven't done that already. To our Patreon supporters, thank you. Thank you for being part of the Fanimated crew and for supporting the podcast. It is those special listeners that keep this podcast running because it is not free to upload content. So thank you to those that do that. If you want to be thanked and have all of my gratitude, you can go to patreon.com/fanimated. And for as little as $1 a month, you can vote for upcoming episode topics, like hear some behind the scenes stuff, and get access to bonus episodes, like more Fanimated. What's not to love? Right now on Patreon, there's a poll for an upcoming episode this month, and I got some recommendations from our top tier supporters, and our options are Summer Wars, Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, Kino's Journey, Isle of Dogs, Haikyuu, The Misfit of Demon King Academy, Hilda, and Trigun. So if any of those are episodes you really want to hear from us, you better go to patreon.com/fanimated and vote for them now. All right, so going on the list of many things that are going on in September, because we're party hard, right?
Party on, Kelly.
We've got obviously new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Friday this month, so stay tuned. And I want to make sure everyone has September 23rd on their calendar because that is our anniversary date, and we'll be having a little party on YouTube to celebrate. So we hope to see you there. Also, the other thing is that there's now a giveaway up on Facebook and Instagram, and you can just follow a few simple steps to enter the giveaway, and you will get free stickers and a free inked illustration of your favorite animated character done by yours truly. And I will send that to you free of charge just to say thank you for being awesome listeners. So check that out. We're at Fanimated Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Wow. What would your favorite character be? Who would you draw, Kelly?
I already drew Wirt as the example.
All right, I guess that wasn't a great question. What would my favorite character be?
Yeah, what's yours?
I might go with a classic Ash Ketchum.
Yes. Love it. Well, you'll have to enter the giveaway. Who knows? All right, so let's get to the meat of the show, our mini episode. Nathan, what you watching?
Oh, Kelly, in these dark times that we find ourselves in, my entertainment choices are, very, very elite, high quality entertainment that need to be just absolute shots of serotonin straight to my brain. I've only been watching the most fluffiest, just good boy anime possible. And there's no better goody two shoes Spitfire character than Hinata from Haikyuu, which is on that list. And I am absolutely enthralled by this show about a high school boys volleyball team.
That is awesome, Nathan. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad it's bringing you so much joy. Haikyuu is like, it is one of the just fluffiest, warmest, softest anime. What is this, an anime or a crescent roll? I don't know.
Yeah, so for those that are unfamiliar with this show, it's about a high school volleyball team that isn't necessarily the best, but it has a bunch of very driven characters, and it portrays itself very much like other action animes, and it has big cinematography that is similar to like fight scenes, but they're just playing volleyball.
It is your shonen battle anime epicness, but it's on a volleyball court with all these high schoolers. It's great.
It's so like low stakes that like nothing can really go wrong, and everything is just wonderful. Even when they're like losing, even when they're winning, they're just like always trying so hard to win the day. And the two main characters of Hinata, who's this little firecracker of a redhead that is really bad at volleyball, but he can jump so high. It's amazing. And then his rival slash best friend slash enemy, like
you know how those anime things go.
You know how they go. Like Kageyama is their like brooding emo setter and is just the absolute like heel to Hinata's like endless joy, and the two of them are just absolutely amazing, and they evolve so much. Like you would think, oh, it's a fluff sports anime, like nothing can really get developed, and then you're like suddenly super attached to all of these characters, and you're crying when they lose, and they're just being, you're like so upset when they're mean to each other. Like, you can't be mean to him, stop.
Yes. They're all so precious, and I love them all.
Yeah, and so I've watched through the first 2 seasons, and I'm in part of the third. It gets to a point where they're about to go into the championship in like the fall tournament or whatever it is, and it's like against the big team, and I'm like, I know they can't win, they're gonna lose, and I don't want to watch them lose, so I have stopped watching.
Yeah.
And so when I feel strong enough to go watch the heartbreak that will be the end of that season or whatever I am, I'll go and do it and continue on and watch them grow and evolve. But it's been everything I've needed of just pure unadulterated joy watching this show.
Truly, that is exactly how I feel about Haikyuu. And like the characters are just amazing. It's just like a big warm hug, and I love them all. And I have never really gotten into that many other sports anime. Like the only other one I can think of that I'm even a fan of is Yuri on Ice. And this one is just so, maybe I shouldn't say too much because it's not like I've actually watched that many sports anime, but I've never really been interested. But this one just like ticks all the boxes for me and is so, like you said, just pure joy.
I think there's a bit of it as well that like Yuri on Ice, it's a kind of sport that many people are unfamiliar with. Like I know very little about volleyball. Like why would I want to watch a volleyball anime? And so like the fact that you're also learning about like these strategies like through this anime is also intriguing. Like I played baseball for 11 years. If there was a baseball anime, maybe I'd like it, but like I would understand baseball. And so if they started to like explain baseball, it would like segment me from that like suspension of disbelief. And so then, because it's something I know absolutely nothing about, when they're like, oh, this is Nishinori, he's our libero. And I'm like, oh, what's a libero? And they're like, he's the defensive specialist. I'm like, that's so cool. Like, you get, and Nishinori is like one of the best characters as well, just because he's like also a tiny guy, and he's like acts just like Hinata, and he just fires up everybody, and he's always ready to pick fights. And
so great.
They're all so good. And like, you would think like it's a cast of high school boys, and there's like roughly like 6 to 9-ish important characters, but they all feel so distinct. It's absolutely amazing that there's no like major overlap between their archetypes, and like the people that they play against also get their own like personalities, and like the Josai, and like everyone is obsessed with like these villain characters, but they're really just other high schoolers. Like, they're not villains. There's nothing evil about him. He just has like a wicked serve, and you're like, oh no, watch out.
Yes, and you even care about the opposing team, you know?
Yeah. Like when they beat like the wall, like the big wall, and then like there's the one big like scary guy with white hair, and he like comes up to shake Hinata's hand, and you're like, oh, you're just a giant you're just the giant teddy bear. Like, he was like supposed to be super scary, and he's just another person. Oh,
I love that show.
It's so good.
So good. Highly recommend. Quite a bit of it is on Netflix, so if you aren't on Crunchyroll or Funimation or anywhere else, Netflix right there. Good to go. Another thing on Netflix, I was just scrolling through. For whatever reason, it's like I have an entire watch list. I should just go down my watch list, but instead I just start scrolling through whatever anime is on.
The most important thing about a watch list is it's a list of things that you can put off to watch until sometime else.
Exactly. And Netflix was, I was looking for something different and something chill, and because I like all of the anime that I'm watching weekly right now are all super hardcore and emotional, and I can't handle it sometimes.
I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't do none of that. My mental state is not prepared for any of that.
Yes. Oh man. So I was like, I need something that's not Fruits Basket or ReZero right now. So I was just scrolling through Netflix, and recommended to me Blue Exorcist, which I had heard a little bit about and never watched. So I was like, all right, let's just give it a try. This show is so funny. Like, the premise, you wouldn't think it was so hilarious, but based on the premise, but it is. And it's like so much more lighthearted than you'd think. So it really feels like Percy Jackson meets a Full Metal Alchemist in this really weird way.
Are they like gods and stuff? I was really into Percy Jackson as a kid.
Yes, I know you like Percy Jackson, which is why I think you might like this, because the main character, Ren, is just like Percy Jackson. He's this like screw up kid, you know, he's trying his best. He, you know, can't quite like fit in, and then he comes to find out that he's a half-blood, but instead of his father being a Greek god, his father is the literal devil.
Not like Hades, like Nico D'Angelo, but like
Satan.
Okay, all right.
Which, again, the premise sounds like this is going to be
this sounds really intense. Hardcore and intense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just watched a full episode where he basically just cooked all episode and made lunches for everybody. Like,
okay, what's the inciting conflict? Is there one?
There it is. So, and I say it's like Full Metal because there's this great brother relationship. It's about Ren and his brother. And their dynamic is super fun and super hilarious. And it's like all the characters just have so much heart. But like the inciting incident is that these two brothers were raised by a priest, I guess, and he is an exorcist. And he I don't know if I should say too much, no spoilers, but this is like the first episode. He dies saving Ren from Satan, and because Satan wants him for who knows what.
Sure.
And so of course now he's like, okay, well now I'm going to become an exorcist and I'm going to defeat my father, basically is the premise.
But this is a fun, happy show.
It's a fun, happy show. It's like if you took Full Metal and you just got rid of like the first 5 episodes.
If you got rid of like the hard edge of Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Because
interesting.
it's like funny and but it's like Percy Jackson, they're all like in school to like learn how to
how to be heroes. Wow,
right.
okay.
And Ren has his sword and that like holds all his demon powers because these 2 brothers are twins, and so it's like, well, don't they both have demon powers? No, because only Ren has the demon powers. And then
that's a perfect opening for a second season.
Right?
If they get to it.
But it's so good. It's so fun. It's just Ren is just a great character to get behind. He's so like blunt and like abrasive and
oh Kelly, is he a himbo? No, do you not know
I'm not connecting the dots.
The himbo terminology? A himbo is a male bimbo where they are absolutely dumb as rocks but have a great heart.
I've never heard that before. That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, Thor is the king himbo, and I would consider Hinata a very strong himbo contender.
Yes, and I would say he's a little more Hinata than Thor.
Okay.
Because he's not quite as cool as Thor is. He's a little. Yeah, no, he's not smart. But he can cook really well. That's what I've learned. Anyway, so I'm just having a lot of fun with it, and it's something just enjoyable to watch when I'm not binging all of my Legend of Korra right now, or watching all my weekly, very deep and emotional animes. So I enjoy it, and I'm sure you would too.
Awesome. I'll have to look into it. So in the weekly animes genre, though, of what I'm watching as it comes out weekly, I have also suggested this, and it's on that list of things for people to vote on, is the Misfit of Demon Lord Academy.
Demon King Academy.
Demon King Lord Academy. It has the longest name ever, but it's just like the Misfit. And it is absolutely bonkers ridiculous of just a fluffy anime. It's another one of just these feel goods. You would think it'd be very scary because it's got Demon King Lord, but like the the first episode is that there's the Demon Lord has been resurrected. Essentially, he has been reborn into this society that he created like 1,000 years ago. There was a big war, and he separated off his society through magic that essentially like absorbed his essence. But then he was so powerful that he would be like reborn again when he could like fulfill all of his power. And so like this little nothing much family is born this baby, and they're about to like name it, and they go, oh, what should we name our child? And then the child just yells at them, Anos Bodyguard, and you're like, what is happening? And this Demon Lord reincarnated in this baby is just like grows up super fast, and then they have to send him to school, but he's like the most powerful human demon to like ever exist in history. And so like this kid like grows up in like 6 months to like high school and gets sent to the Demon King Academy, which is like this elite school that is trying to find the next Demon King through like tests and teachings and whatnot, because there was like the prophecy that the Demon King would be reborn. And so they're like doing all these tests to try and find out who is the Demon King. And like he fails, the actual Demon King like fails all of their tests. And so he's considered the misfit because he doesn't belong, he doesn't fit, he's not from royal blood, like nothing like makes sense. Like they gave him like this magic crystal that he had to like put his power into, and he like destroyed it, like and so he got like a 0 on it. And then like they made him take a test that was like the history of the Demon King and like what the Demon King knew, and he just like told them what he knew, but like the history has been changed, and so he got all the answers wrong even though he is the Demon King. And so like it's just absolutely clear that he is the most like powerful broken character in this whole thing. And so you would think that he would just go like on a tirade or like absolutely just like demolish everybody because he can, and he like shown that he has that power. But he doesn't. He's like good-hearted and loving, and he like looks after this young girl Misha, who like also doesn't really fit in, and he's like acquiring this crew of like, you know, lost misfits that are kind of being downtrodden by this like fake royal society that's erupted since he left. And so like everything he does though is with like such kindness, and you'd be like have this huge juxtapose of like, but he's the demon lord, he should be evil or he should be all violent, and like he can be those things, but that's like not really where his like strength comes from. And so it's just so good-hearted to get behind like this unstoppable force of good. Like he's good. Like no matter what anyone says, he's a good guy, and he can demolish all of the bad guys, and he does, and it's wonderful to watch.
Yes, it's so wonderful, and it's so fun, and because like, you know, he's so OP that nothing bad could really happen.
And like they keep trying to like trick him into stuff, and like the royalists are like out to get him, and he's just like, oh, you have shown your hand too early, and then like just demolishes all of them. And it's just so great. Or there's like all these like tests, and like his teachers like don't like him because he keeps like showing all of them up, and it's so funny. Like they're trying to teach a lesson, and he's like, that sigil is half the power it could be. And then they're like, what? This sigil has been here for thousands of years. He's like, well, that's because I only learned about it after I died. And you're like, what is happening here? Or he'll keep bringing up stuff, and they'll be like, here's the testing arena. It is the Demon King's castle. You must go and find his staff. And they were like, no one's ever found the staff. And he's like, but this is my house. I know where I put it. And like he just leads them to where it is.
Yes. And the best part about all of it is that despite all of these obvious things that's like, he's super powerful, he's the demon lord, no one acknowledges that he is the Demon King. Like
no, because they've been taught this whole like false history, and so like he's out to one sort of prove to people, but he's also like trying to unearth like what happened to all of his like demon lords and all of his subjects that he like sort of left behind. And so he's like kind of like picking through them and progressing as he goes, and he keeps finding how all of these lords have been like manipulated, and he keeps like setting them free, and then they come to his side, and he's like accruing more and more power. But then there's also like this flashback, I don't want to spoil too much, of like him battling like spirits, and him battling gods, and him battling like these angels. So there's this whole other realm outside of their capsule. And so I feel like eventually they're going to get to a point where the walls surrounding their portion of the world that he separated himself from are going to break down, or going to fall back or something, and then there's going to be another big war, but he seems so benevolent that I can't like envision him like going to war with these people again. And like maybe that'll be like the grand resolution of their like endless cycle of war, is that through this separation they can then come together or be together. I don't know, it just sounds it's just a show with so much hope and good vibes. I don't know how to say it otherwise.
Yes, and it's it just delivers so well. How, like, because not it's basically just like a complete riff on that entire trope of like the super OP character and just like this power fantasy, but it's like, oh, but actually we're actually going to do this in a really funny way. And also, a side note, surprise, there's actually like more here going on than you think originally, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not like One Punch Man that is like entirely satirical. It's like it's got value and it's got heart and it's got all these like really like good like emotions that it's trying to provide. And like there's this whole like theme of just like everyone should be looked after and everyone should be cared for, and it doesn't matter what your upbringing is, because there's this huge like fight between like the hybrids and the like royal bloods. And so like it's very like, you're a mudblood, like like it's got that sort of like Harry Potter vibe going on as well right now. But yeah, I'm just really enjoying it and really enjoying getting to watch a new episode as it comes out every week.
Good. And I'm glad you recommended it to me, because I'd heard some things, but when you recommended it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm diving in, and I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, it's real nice.
It's nice. Well, I really want to make sure we talk about the anime that is exclusively on Netflix right now called Great Pretender. Of course, we were just talking about Attack on Titan, and if you wonder where they went after season 3, since they're not working on season 4, Wit Studios was working on Great Pretender, and it is a show about this group of con artists who just they make a note to just con other people who are total crap, and it follows these characters, and there's like, in this first season there are 3 arcs, 3 big cons that they're doing, and in each one you like peel away the layers of all these characters. And so not only is it like edge of your seat thrilling anime cons, that crazy plot points and things that like I was surprised by, but it's also like these character studies of these con artists and how they became that way, and what's their motivation and driving factors, and like what do they actually want. And oh, it's so good. And because Studio Wit is beautiful.
It is very beautiful. I saw Kelly freaking out about this show on Instagram, and I knew that we were going to record this, and I was like, crap, I gotta watch that show. It's gotta happen. And then I just watched the whole thing in like 2 days. Like this weekend was just, I watched one of those arcs every single day, and then I watched the 4th one yesterday. And every arc follows one of the 3 side characters. The first one is mainly about the young Japanese boy, Edamura.
They call him Edamame. It's brilliant. Makoto Edamura.
Yeah. And then the second one is about a girl from Iraq named Abigail Jones, Abby, and she's just heartless but so amazing. Like she is amazing. She's like the femme fatale / hitman / airplane pilot.
Yes.
Like she's like the James Bond of the group practically. Like that's her role. And then the third arc is all about Cynthia, the sort of the I don't know how do you describe her. She's also like just a super amazing woman spy character who's sort of the second in hand to the main man, Laurent.
Who is great, and just he is the mastermind behind all of these schemes, and he just like manipulates everybody, and like
everything. There's not a single thing in the show that Laurent is not anticipating, has contingencies for, is doing on his own. Like the whole first arc was just so amazing because you think that you know what's going on, but really like Laurent is pulling the strings on absolutely every single character, and you're viewing it from Edamura's perspective of the young Japanese who thinks he's like the best con artist in Japan, and he knows absolutely nothing, and he's in on the con. And that first episode just grabs you right away, because the whole first episode is Edamura thinking that he's conning people, but the people that he was conning were plants by Laurent.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. And I was like, Kelly, is this how the rest of every episode is going to go? I can't handle 14 episodes like this.
It's everything is a con. If you take anything away, it's just like everything they do. And Laurent plans everything. He plans everything out. So even if things don't go his way, they go his way.
It has a great like diverse cast as well. And so like one of the things I found really interesting, I was watching it on English dubs, but at the first episode, they left everyone's accents in to clearly designate that Edamura was Japanese, that Laurent was French, that all these characters had these different accents. And then suddenly in the middle, they were like, all the accents will be gone from now on. And then they stopped. And I was like, oh, but I really love their accents, because we talked about this in Attack on Titan on how like race is very weirdly like skewed in a lot of anime just because of how the character design is done. And so I really loved they all had that like very fresh idea of an international story with international characters. And so I don't know if it's Wit doing that on their own or if Netflix had involvement in it, because it was going to be universal. And if you saw all the translations on it, it's translated into like 20 different languages, and you just raised your hand like you're in school. So yes, Kelly.
I just want to say that when Netflix says an anime is a Netflix original, quote unquote, I'm doing those little quote things with my hands. It just means that they have the exclusive rights for them, and not that they had any say in making them. Most likely that is the case. It's like an anime that was produced that Netflix has the exclusive streaming rights to. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just felt it was really cool to watch an anime that wasn't like really Eastern focused. Like it was an international show with international characters.
And all of the settings are like super good. Like, there's the In-N-Out burger in LA. And I loved, this is super random, but they were in the Paris like international airport, and I was like, oh my gosh, I sat in those chairs during an 8-hour layover in Paris. Like it was like, I know the story for another time, but I know the Paris International Airport way too well. And I was like, that's it. Those are those chairs.
I've been there. I've sat where they're sitting. Well, they are animated to sit.
Yes. And it's so cool to see that. Absolutely. And the animation is just beautiful. Like
it's like watercolors. Like how do they even
put colorful.
Everything together? It's technicolored. Like you got to take a break and look back at the world and realize that that sky isn't pink and purple cotton candy like it is in this show. What are we doing wrong? Like
right? Oh, it's beautiful. I love the style. And then of course Wit Studio just blows me away with the plane races, and I'm just like, geez Louise, this is great.
The plane races are a weird backdrop, but when you got that 3D animation chops, like you got to do something. Like everyone was expecting it. Like Wit with their Attack on Titan stuff is like never gonna get away from it. Like they're gonna have to just blow our minds every single time anything like this comes up.
Every single time. I mean, Vinland Saga too. Like they just know how to do computer animation. Dang it. So good. I'm so glad you watched that. Again, it's such an easy watch. You'll blow through it. You'll breeze through it in like a couple days, and just watch it. It's amazing. Great. Anything else you've been watching?
Well, yeah, but I think we've already been talking for 45 minutes.
All right. Well, I'll also say if anyone needs other recommendations, maybe one that's not as happy, but really good. And it's all out now, so you don't have to wait every week like I did when I first watched it. Promise Neverland is now on Netflix. So no excuses. It is the most wonderful horror thriller anime that I've ever seen. Like, you think Great Pretender has some crazy plot twists? You need to watch Promise Neverland because whoa.
You know, Kelly, that might have to go on a watch list if you get my drift of one of those that I'm gonna put off for a while.
Yeah, you focus on Haikyuu, get to it when you can.
Yeah.
All right. And before we sign off, Nathan has something else that he has to recommend.
Yeah, so everyone with Disney Plus, I would highly encourage that you take the time and watch Black Panther with your family or your friends or your loved ones this weekend. This past week, Chadwick Boseman, the actor who plays King T'Challa, the Black Panther, died of colon cancer in a very sudden and heartbreaking manner. He kept it secret and for a very long time in order to produce some amazing films. And the Black Panther is an iconic Marvel movie. I love all of the Marvel movies, but it stood out in my mind of just one of the most fantastic films. It has a lot of heart. It has a lot of amazing action. It's monumental and iconic for its time, and it brought a lot of joy to many people that wanted that representation in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and are paving the way for future movies to come.
Absolutely. I know I'll be watching it this week for sure. Thank you again to all of our Patreon supporters. Again, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Fanmated Podcast. The music is provided by Purple Planet Music. Art is done by myself. You can follow me on Instagram at Candor Draw. And we will be chatting with you again. You'll be listening to us chat. Again next week already with lots more episodes this month, and yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited.
I am too.
With that, Nathan, thanks so much for joining me today, and as we always say,
stay tuned
and stay animated.
Which is another reason why I just absolutely love this haiku, because it's like, they're volleyball players, bro.
No pressure.
It's not like the world's gonna just get like destroyed by freaking All For One if they can't get along together. It's like they'll lose some volleyball games.
It's no big deal.
It's no big deal.
Oh my goodness.